Hi, I'm Josh, and I just wanted to record a video providing some tips and tricks of what to do when it comes time for delivery day when you're getting a new RV. So we just picked up our new 2025 Dynamax Isata 28SS, and we wanted to just share the lessons learned from picking up our particular model, and also just, we have a lot of experience purchasing several RVs over the course of our lifetime, and there's definitely some tips and tricks that you should know that'll help you, have a better experience when picking up the RV. So before you even go pick up your RV, there's some things you need to do beforehand. For instance, get insurance. And this can be difficult. Not difficult, but you kind of want to shop around and find the best deal. So we had contacted several different companies, including Good Sam, Progressive, Foremost, and Geico, and just tried to get quotes from different companies. We ended up going with Geico because they happen to be the cheapest one, but with your particular situation, how you're using the RV, one of the other companies may be cheaper. The point is to shop around and get the best deal. So when you're scheduling your delivery date with the dealer, some of the things you want to make sure is that you have plenty of time. So try to get there when they open in the morning, because to do a thorough job of checking over the RV will take several hours. Another thing you want to make sure is that they de-winterize it for you, have shore power available, have some water in the freshwater tank, and just have the propane filled as well so you can actually test all the appliances. Another recommendation is to bring a checklist, and we'll provide a link to this particular checklist in the description below. But I just happened to find online a Dynamax specific checklist that it's just good to have one because it talks about every single piece on the exterior and interior of the coach, so you don't forget something when you're looking it over. So having a checklist is just good to make sure you check everything. The reason why it's important to check everything is while you're there at the dealer doing your delivery, they'll usually have a mechanic on hand to fix any issues that pop up. The problem is once you leave the lot, you kind of have to enter the warranty phase at that point. Sure, most new coaches like this particular one have a 1-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, where if anything is wrong with either the chassis or the living area, they'll fix it, including any of the appliances. But then you have to wait. You'll schedule an appointment with the dealer, and it could be a month out just to get one little issue fixed that they could have fixed while you were there at delivery. As you can see, this checklist that I got says it's from 2018, but it doesn't really matter what checklist you're using as long as it covers the majority of areas that you would look for on your coach. This particular one talks about, exterior of the coach, like the paint, the hitch area, the roof, the chassis and truck, exterior compartments, and the utilities areas. And then it talks about the truck engine for the chassis, and then moves into the interior, including the bathroom, kitchen, any of the electronics, the water and controls, anything with electrical system, anything with safety and comfort, and then the truck cockpit area, and then that you received all your documentation. Like I said, this is just an example checklist that you can find. And just to share our experience of picking up this particular model, we did encounter some issues doing our walk around and following the checklist. For example, when I got to the rear storage area, the 12-volt light was not working. And it turned out that it was actually a burnt fuse, and so the mechanic had to replace the fuse. As another example, I had them hook up the water, and even though I asked for it to be de-winterized, it was not de-winterized. So they went through and did the de-winterization procedure, but they forgot to actually turn the cross bleed valve for the water in the hot that bypasses the water heater. And so we wouldn't have had a hot water that night if I wouldn't have known how to fix that problem. But a lot of people, if they left with it thinking that their water heater would work, they'd have been unpleasantly surprised that it wasn't working properly. As another example, the propane was not filled. And so I told them, hey, I need the propane to be full. And so when they took it to go get the propane filled, it turns out that the safety valve on it had been removed, and the whole tank had actually been removed for a RV show a few weeks prior, because they were forced to remove the tank since it's an indoor show. Well, Well, they didn't say any of that to me. It's just the fact that they went to go fill the propane and there was a really bad leak that they discovered it and they were able to fix it on the spot. But once again, if we had just taken it as is and driven it home that night, we would have found out later that it wouldn't be able to hold propane at all. Those are just some examples of the issues you may find. And despite having a checklist and trying to be prepared in advance, some of the dealers just close early. So the one we were going to was actually 2.5 hour drive away. So we arrived a couple hours late. We arrived at 11 and they closed at 4. And even in that 5 hours, we weren't allowed to check everything or able to check everything. So there was some stuff we missed. And in a later video, we'll show you kind of some of the issues that we ran into in more detail, so you know kind of the things to look out for. But it just shows you, even if you know what you're doing, there may be some things that you miss. And those you'll just want to, build a list of these items that you want fixed under warranty. And that way when you go to schedule an appointment with the dealer, they can, get several of those things done at the same time for you rather than going in 1 month at a time for every minor issue that you encounter. It's better to just kind of save up several of them and get it all done at once. Some things you want to make sure you do before you leave the dealership that may or may not be in your checklist are check every single appliance. So make sure you check the stove, the air conditioners, the microwave, any other kind of electronics, including the TVs. If you have a wine guard system, make sure you check that and make sure it's functioning. And then make sure that you have all the remotes that the RV is supposed to come with, including like the TVs or the jacks or anything else that would need a remote. Even our fans in here need a remote. You also want to make sure you change the door code. So a lot of the RVs, if it has a number pad on the door, you want to make sure that's changed so that there's not a security issue if you leave, that anyone could get in the coach with the default code. You also want to make sure that they explain to you how to fill all the fluids, both in the chassis and for the coach itself. So where do you hook up water? How do you winterize it? How do you fill the propane? Where do you put in the diesel or the gas for the generator? Anything like that. You also want to make sure that you install all the apps required to run the coach, because a lot of times the new RVs actually have an app that'll help run like the jacks or the slides or the awnings or the lights, things like that. So install that app, or there's even like if there's a solar panel installed, sometimes there's a solar charging app, or even the batteries will have an app. So just make sure that you have all those apps installed and know how to use them from the dealer. The last thing is you want to make sure to install potentially a RV GPS for when you drive off the lot, especially on the East Coast, because there's a lot of restrictions on the roads out here as far as height limits or length limits or weight limits, and you just want to make sure that you're safe driving at home. With these tips, I hope you feel confident picking up your next RV. If you are interested in our experience picking up our Dynamax Isata 5, subscribe to our channel and watch the next video.